Alrighty, well, welcome everybody to the first episode of Brush Hour of 2022. I'm glad you're all here with me. I'm Kyle Webster, your host for this hour, and on Brush Hour we like to look at brushes. No surprise there, and I'm sure you could have figured that out with the title of this show. But, want to be clear, we're talking about digital brushes, Photoshop, and Adobe Fresco brushes in particular. So, I hope you all had a happy and safe New Year's celebration, and I hope you're all doing well out there, staying healthy, staying away from the cron, staying away from the delt, and all that bad stuff, okay? Stay healthy out there. Today, we are going to look at the Winter 2022 brushes, and these are the latest brush set released and designed by yours truly here for Adobe, for our official Adobe brush library, where there are now over 1,900 brushes and counting because we add brushes about every quarter. And I work hard to try and make those interesting for all of you, and practical and useful, etc. So nice mixture of all of those qualities, if I can manage it. I want to say hi to some folks who are joining me here at behance.net/Adobe Live. We have Cody. What's up, Cody? And Mercurial and Sean and Laura. Hello. Annika, nice to see you as well. Kathleen, thank you for joining us from New Jersey. Kathleen, I used to live in New Jersey. Good old Morris Plains, New Jersey. How about that? Kimmy, how you doing? Nice to see you as well. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching over on YouTube or Twitter, that's great. But be aware that I am following the chat on YouTube, behance.net/live. Time for a little sip of coffee so I can wake up and talk. Miracle. If you're ready to get drawing, we're going to pop on over to Photoshop. But before I do that, I want to mention up front, of course, that these brushes work in Adobe Fresco. What is Adobe Fresco? It's a free, yes, I said that, free drawing and painting app that we have released, and it is now in its third year of existence with all kinds of new features like perspective drawing and animation/motion features, all kinds of cool stuff. Check it out. And let's pop on over to my Photoshop screen here. And I have the winter brushes right here, ready to go. But how did they get there, folks? A lot of people are wondering, well, how do I get these brushes? I want to play with them. Here's the secret. You come on over to this little tiny drop-down menu in Photoshop. We call this a hamburger menu. And right here it says, get more brushes, okay? That is your magic ticket. You just tap on that and it'll launch the sign-in page for the brushes download page at Adobe. Sign in with your Creative Cloud credentials. We're doing some alliteration there. And sign in and you can download all the brushes that you want. And there are, as I said, over 1,900 of them. It's insane. What a resource. Now, if you are in Fresco, you can do the same thing. You can just download them to your iPad or to your compatible Windows device and go ahead and load them into Fresco that way. Or if you want to follow along with the winter brush library specifically, you have to do that for now, until the first week of February, at which point they will be available for you to follow those brushes, which means they temporarily load them into Fresco for as long as you want to use them. You can unfollow that library of brushes anytime you want to clean things up. So Fresco does it a little differently, but they're the same brushes. One quick note though, there are 3 pencil brushes in this new set that do not work in Fresco. I'm sorry to tell you that. All the rest of them work beautifully, but it's because these 3 pencils were designed specifically for Photoshop because they are erodible tip mixer brushes. And I will show you what they look like before we get into doing this illustration. What I have here is a little winter scene with some animals. Got a little squirrel and a bear and a fox. I'm going to try in the hour that we have together, which is, getting shorter by the second, to get as much of this done as possible with these brushes and just show you how fun and easy they are to use. Because most of the brushes in this set are tree brushes and little nature brushes and snowflakes and things like that, okay? Perfect for the season. And I also want to mention that if you're interested in an overview of the brushes, what each brush does specifically, I've got you covered last Friday on my illustration masterclass, which is archived over on Behance and on YouTube. Just search Illustration Masterclass Winter 2022 and my name, Kyle, if you like. You should be able to quickly find that video, and there I've got a full hour breakdown of every brush by brush. I show you what the properties are of those brushes, how to modify them and edit them and so on, and how to use them in different ways. So if you're interested in that, check on back with that illustration masterclass from this past Friday. All right, any questions before we get started? Let's check here and see what we have in the chat. Chat's blowing up. Lots of people are busy saying hello to each other. New folks joining us as well. Hello, Shukran. Nice to see you. And Jack, how are you? Steve is here. Hello. Bliss, hello to you as well. And Andreas. Okay, folks. Let's get going. Christelle, hey, how you doing? Oh, too many people for me to keep track of. Michelle, hello. Thank you so much. What a kind thing to say. Thank you. Now, let's get cooking. So, first thing I want to do is I want to start with my backdrop. Okay, so the sky and all that business. So I'm going to use a layer right here below my sketch. And what I'm going to do is set my sketch to multiply so that everything I do from here on out, I should be able to kind of see the sketch peeking through. And for the background, I'm going to come on down in this winter brush set to the background brushes, which are, where are they? Here they are. Winter BG. BG stands for background. There are two of them. There's a Winter BG and a Winter BG variant. And I'm just going to do a nice bright blue winter sky. Okay, so I'll select the variant brush and I'll just pull this through the whole thing, even though I'm not going to use it everywhere. Okay, and I'll use this other Winter BG here. I'll go a little lighter, just do a couple little stamps here and there, and that's going to add some interest. If we zoom in and look at the properties of this brush, you'll notice that there are some nice little, snowflakey kind of patterns in it and whatnot. It's taking advantage of color dynamics as a setting so that each instance of the stamp, if you look here, slightly different hue, saturation, and value. So really nice to use for backgrounds and for quickly adding some texture to something, okay? You can see how that looks. Let's zoom in again. I'll hide the sketch for a moment so you really get a good view of what this brush looks like up close and personal. Snowflake shapes galore, really nice textures, okay? Lots to enjoy right there. That's going to be my initial lay-in for the background, and everything else will just kind of sit on top of that. Next, I want to have these hills defined, okay, because those shapes are going to be important. So I'm just going to take my lasso tool, cut across this way, and there's that front hill right there. I'm going to make a new layer. Now for this, I'm going to use that winter background variant brush again because it responds to pen pressure a little bit. I'm going to switch on over to white, and I'm going to use light pressure to just tap in the hill. And I'm going to go a little darker with my, or heavier with my pressure, which makes the color more pronounced up near the top, like this. And what that should do, hide the sketch for a moment, is give the impression that this area is kind of lit by the sun, okay? And then as we come closer to the foreground, we get a little darker. It's sort of creating a little bit of a depth, sort of a look to it, you know? There's a bit of depth there. Now, the other shape I have here is this shape, which is the other hill, okay? And I think for that, you know, for contrast, what I could do is kind of go straight down, and that could be kind of an interesting juxtaposition there, the straight against the curve. So to do that, I can use my polygonal lasso tool and just do this. And I was thinking I might even have like a person skiing back there. I don't know, that detail might be too small. Now this is on a layer behind the other hill, but I'm going to use that same technique. See that? And now if I hide the sketch, look what that does. It gives the impression that this hill is in front of this hill. See how quick and easy that is? Amazing. There's so much you can do so quickly with these little special techniques. Alrighty. Now in my sketch, I also have a few clouds. And the style of this art that I'm creating is kind of a mixture of things that are inspired mainly by like mid-century modern cartoons and advertising and things like that. So I'm going to create now some cloud shapes. There's one. And I'm just going off of what I had already drawn in my sketch, okay? So these kind of have these wonky sort of shapes here, like this. Imagine like you're looking at a sort of a Looney Tunes, a Looney Tunes kind of cartoon. You know how sometimes they'll have those sort of graphic shaped clouds in the sky, things like that. That's sort of the idea there. Okay, so there you go. Hide the sketch again. Here's where we are so far. Got the clouds, got the hills. If I want the hills to be a little brighter, like this one right in the front, I can just Command J on that layer. And what that does is it just doubles that layer on top of itself. And because it has some opacity, you know, that's been shifted from away from 100%, it's a little transparent. I'm just making it slightly less transparent, okay? A little more opaque. And that'll help it to kind of pop forward a little bit. Looking at my sketch again, what I want is for this stream to come down here through the picture. So I'm going to make yet another layer, okay? Looks like I put the clouds on the same layer as that other hill there. But that's not a problem. I'll move that back there and move it back there. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's make a stream. Gonna have a little bear kind of fishing in there. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but so there's the first little bit right there, and then coming around here, and away we go off to the edge. It's not exactly what I had drawn, so I think I want to just take my lasso tool and just kind of like massage that a bit. There we go. Get that a little closer to where it was, and I can always come in and mess with that later. But for this, excuse me, I'm going to use again that Winter BG brush just because I love the texture so much, and I'm going to take this same blue and just slide on down a little darker, a little more saturated for that water, okay? And then come on through here and add that in like this. Simple as that. You know how sometimes like bodies of water, little streams and things like that look darker in the winter, you know, kind of black. Now for this hill shape, which I have, I can just select it by command clicking on that layer. I'm going to select the inverse of that, Command Shift I, and I'm just going to use my eraser and just erase away that little bit of stream that was overhanging that bit. Okay, let's hide our sketch again and see where we are. So far so good. We have our general sort of shape of our landscape here. We got the little stream coming through. The shape over here is not great, that little curve. Don't really have time to fix that, but normally what I would do is I'd come through here and I'd be a little more picky probably about how I drew that. You know, this little bit. Why not? I'll just do it, you know, because I'm trying to model good behavior on this show. Trying to model good behavior, folks. You know, I don't want you to learn all the bad habits from me, only the good ones. All right, that's close enough. Now, let's turn our sketch back on and see what else we have going on. I'm going to increase the opacity of this, and that'll help me to see while I've got it turned on. Got a big tree in the foreground right here, some other trees and bushes and whatnot. Here in the foreground with our squirrel being closest to us as far as the animals go and things. This is kind of like our foreground. This is like our middle ground, and then our stuff in the background's over here. All right. So now I can just play around with these tree brushes and start to create something that is appealing. And I'll probably change my mind here and there about placement and whatnot, but the general shape of things where they are now, I feel pretty good about. I like that this hill is straight and this hill is curved. Probably gonna have some mountains peeking out back here somewhere, some trees off in the distance. Then we're gonna have our foreground trees and our three animals, okay, bear and fox and squirrel. Speaking of squirrels, we have a ton of them here in my yard. Looks very frosty, says Cody. The snowflakes are cool. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, I'm gonna use those as well for sure. Tamika, how you doing? Nice to see you. Hey. Clarissa is here as well. What's up? Nice to see you. Let's see. Questions at all? If you have any questions, throw them in the chat and I will check them out. François is here. Bonjour, François. Merci d'être ici pour regarder l'émission. Steve says, I see a fox. Yes, the fox is on its way. All right. Beverage break. Everybody take a sip. And let us roll on. Now, you know, I could do whatever I want at this point. I think because I'm so interested in my characters, I might just quickly knock that squirrel and bear and fox in just for fun. And these are just going to be shape-based, so I'm not going to do anything particularly special with brushes here. I'm just making some shapes. So we'll do that. Squirrel first. I'm just going to go ahead and try and use a steady hand and go to town with the old lasso tool. There's the tail. And coming around here for the body. And around for the head. That was not good. Try again. And there's the head. And let's do for the ears, just these little triangles like that. Okay. Same for the hands. We're not trying to do anything fancy here. That other hand I might save till later. And for the feet, just come out like that. All right, there is that basic shape I want. Bouncing over here, across my colors to complementary colors here. And for my squirrel friend, I'm probably gonna go for something like a grayish kind of a brown like this. And I could add some texture in there with that winter brush. That might be a little bit more interesting. See that? Look at that. More interesting than a solid color fill. Okay. Using my marquee tool, I can just throw a little eyeball on there. And while I've got it selected, I can use one of these new pencils, like this pencil rough brush here. And just come in here and do a little eye like this. I'm going to use the shape of the squirrel. I'm command selecting it there. Command and click on that layer. And that means I can then just come here too and do little squirrel nose. Okay. Now let's hide our sketch for a minute. Whoops, let's hide our sketch. And let's see if that stands out. Yep, there's enough contrast there for me to read that. You can always come in and do a little Command M, pull up your curves on a layer, and you can darken it or lighten it, right? Play around with your values a little bit if you like, or you could use an adjustment layer for this as well if you're interested in a non-destructive workflow, which is certainly always a good thing. Not gonna steer anybody away from that. I kind of want to do this. I just want to sort of curve, smooth out this transition here to the hand like that. I think that's kind of nice. Actually, I think I'll just do this bit here, like that, more of an S curve. Okay, so there's our little squirrel buddy. And what are we going to do with the other animals? Well, we have a bear sitting right here, and he's fishing. So I'll go ahead and make a layer for him. Same thing, lasso tool. This time I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool. I'm going to make it all sort of straight edge bits and bobs. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to just do this. It's going to be stepping into the water here. And the only thing that'll be sort of rounded will be his ears. So I'll go ahead and do that as well. Ear number 1, ear number 2. Okay. If you came here to learn animal anatomy, you're in the wrong place. I'm going to reuse this color I was using for our squirrel friend and go to my background brush again and just knock that in. And let's see how that looks against the blue. There might not be enough contrast, okay? So we'll check it out. Now, when you run into a situation like this, you can go either lighter or darker. In this case, I'm going to go lighter near the front of the bear. So I'll just go ahead and select this, go lighter. Whoops. Lock your layer transparency, folks. There we go. Lock my layer transparency and do that. Now we check again. And now we can clearly read our bear. That's what we want. We're going to give him a nice fat nose here in the front. So we come in here with my lasso tool if I want and just kind of do that. And I think for the bear, we'll keep it simple with just little black circles for eyes. I'm going to do that thing you know where you put the eyes on the same side of the face, kind of, which I know is ridiculous, but we can get away with that because it's an illustration. If you want to be fancy, what you can do is section off areas like this, like back leg and this leg behind the that's further away from us, okay? And grab the slightly darker color here, go a little darker, and we can then just kind of hit that to make it recede and have some space between it and whatever's in front of it, okay? Just go a little darker like that. And that gives you that separation. See what I mean? Now, if he's stepping in the water there, you know, we could get fancy and we could put a little shape there that indicates that he's upsetting that flow of water there. Okay, I can just do that with white like this, so we know he's stepping into the water. And later with the water, if we want, we can have, if we have time, we can do some nice little lines and wiggles and whatnot to show that there's some movement there as that stream is flowing down towards us. Okay, well, that only leaves our friend the fox, so we're going to go a little brighter with the orange there and the red. And let's look at our sketch and see where I placed him. There he is. And let's go ahead and add another little layer for the fox. And I'm going to change his silhouette slightly here, like this. Maybe kind of have him in more sort of a running pose, like that. I like that. And we'll go ahead and knock in some color for him using that same brush. Hide my sketch. And we'll go ahead and use some black to define some of his features. So we'll lock our layer transparency, the little nose. And we'll do the same thing we did with the bear. We'll just throw an eye on each side same side, I mean, like that. And I think foxes have little colored tips on their feet. Maybe not. Maybe it's white instead of black, but I can just change it up if I want because I like the contrast. So I can make this fox more of sort of like a black and red kind of thing, you know? How about that? We want to put a little shadow under the fox? Sure, why not? Let's do that. We just go ahead and make a little selection like this. And we use a little color that's our light blue and just kind of throw that in there. Could go a little darker. There. So it's subtle, but it's there. I suppose we could do the same thing with our friend here, the bear. You know, just give him a little shadow action. Erase away the bit that's in the water there. Okay, and that's where we are now with our illustration. So we've got our characters, we have our setting, and we have our little clouds and whatnot. That's about it. We haven't gotten too far, but we've gotten far enough to where we know now that it's fun time with brushes. So, trees. I've got about 30 minutes here left to play with you all, and we're going to have some fun with these tree brushes. So here we go. Let's get started with this big tree in front. All right. Lots of choices here. There are 13 different trees you can play with. The question is, what do you want to do? So I think for this one, gosh, it's hard to decide. I might want to go, this is one I play with a lot. I really like this brush. Let's see how this is going to handle this situation. And I'm going to go for, here's our dark blue. I want to have enough contrast, so I'm going to just push that a little greener and go really dark. And we're just going to create a layer in front of everything except the sketch and just hit it with that brush and see how that feels. So there you go. That's nice. And you could do this like multiple times until you get exactly the shapes you want. Do I want it to go all the way in front? You know, do I want it to go up and stop about here? Do I want it to just kind of do this halfway thing? Like this. That's kind of nice. I want to avoid tangents. So I'm going to slide it around. I can do this, of course, because it's Photoshop. So that's a good little spot right there. One thing I'm noticing about this shape is that it kind of hugs that river shape. And I don't want it to create a tangent that I don't want there. So as much as I love this brush and I love this, what it does with the shape here, I may want to slide it all the way over here, which is not how my sketch is designed, but I don't think that's too much of an issue because I can take the brush and I can do this. I can slide it down in scale and do another one here. So we're echoing basically like the same theme. We know that there are two of these maybe. I like that. I like that arrangement. That looks pretty good. And I want to maybe do one more like here. Make it smaller though, where the fox is there. That might be okay. Although maybe I want that to be more of a unique tree shape, so separate from these two. I do want one of these shapes to be discovered over here, so that we recognize it. So I could do that. I could throw it in from the side. I could have it coming in up the side like this. I could have it coming across like this. I could have just a bit of it peeking out like that. You know, you have to figure out compositionally what is going to work for you, what's going to make the most sense. Something simple like that might work. I like that. I think that's a nice little arrangement there. So I get a bit of an echo of that over here, so we understand there's more than one of those babies. Another one could pop up like right down here, you know. Lots of things you can do. So let's hide our sketch for a moment. Just look at that balance so far. And I think that feels pretty good. This one might go away. I might do some other things there. Let's see how that feels. Because I have some ideas for some sort of different shapes down there. I might add it in later. We'll see. All right, so while I have these sitting here, one of the things you can do is you can, these have a little bit of transparency to them, you might have noticed, okay? Just a touch of transparency. It's really subtle, and that could be an effect that you want to keep. If you don't, you just double it up. Command J. So I select this layer and I duplicate it. Command J, and that's going to automatically get rid of that transparency, and now you're dealing with completely opaque shapes, and you can combine those two layers together. Command E by selecting them both. Command E. Control E on a PC. And what I can do is I can lock that layer transparency, and then I can come in and do stuff like this. I can just hit parts of the trees with some snow. See that? Just kind of giving them a little bit of snow on the ends there. That's the kind of thing you can do for detail if you want. You'd have to knock the, you'd have to either darken the edges slightly so that you don't have them blend with the snow that's behind them, or you can darken the snow a little bit, right? Which you can always do just with a layer over top and use a light blue or something like that if I wanted to demonstrate that for you. Here's my layer here. I've got these two layers together. This is that hill in the front right there. So I can select that hill, do a layer above it, grab a little blue color and fill it like that, and then just reduce the opacity to like 30% or something. And you see, as soon as I do that, now the snow on the tree really pops, and you can read that clearly. And we can still see our characters and see what's going on. So that's one way to solve it if you want. Or you can just do your trees with no snow on them as well. There's so many choices. Like, what looks best for your illustration? You have to decide, what the right look is for you. So I might kind of leave it like that. I think that's kind of nice. And yeah, maybe, I don't know. The snow maybe works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe I just like the way the shapes are solid, so we can undo all that and look and see, do I just like the graphic shapes as they are? These are the kinds of decisions you have to make. The cool thing is you can save versions of your document. You can use layers and do things like that. You can do a clipping mask, for example, on the trees. I've got my trees right here. I can just come down here and add a little clipping mask. Hang on. Add a layer. Create clipping mask. And now it's clipped to that layer. So now if I do that same thing I was doing before, which is add the snow. So if I go above like that. Okay, that's on its own layer, but it's respecting what's happening with the shape underneath. Know what I mean? So these can all have some snow on them. I don't know, what's your opinion? I want to hear what you all think. Snow or no snow? What floats your boat? If this were your illustration, what would you do? Would you do the snow? Is it making it more interesting? Do you like the snow? What do you think? What does everybody think? Always curious to know. And of course, everyone will have different opinions, and that's the beauty of the planet we live on, right? Let's see. 2022 brush pack for winter. That is correct. It's not in Fresco yet because it won't be until early February, Tamika. But you can grab it anyway from the brushes download page and still install them in Fresco today. Snow. People are saying, okay, well, seems unanimous. The snow seems to be the way to go, so why don't we just leave it there? Thank goodness for clipping masks. So there are some trees for you. Now, what about some other trees? We got to start playing around here. Now, I wanted to have a cool tree right here by our friend the fox, okay? Maybe one or two of them. Got a lot of cool options here. Tree stack. Got this tree stack. You got that tree stack. So many tree stacks. Let's check out, for example, this one. Make it a little smaller. I like this color we're using here, but I'm gonna change it up, make it a little brighter. And whoops, we're gonna pop up over here where our trees are, make a new layer, and just try that. So make it even, let's make it really bright, like or let's go really green with it actually. I want to try that. Let's do green. Green. Something like that, go a little darker. Watch out for our contrast. You know? That's kind of nice. What other options do we have? We have this guy. Do a couple of those. I like those two because in the foreground, you can see through them. So adding one or two of these down here is kind of a nice touch, I think. And I could go a little brighter here. For one of those, and it'll really stand out against that river, you know? Then you get your echo here and here. That might work. But we have others as well. We have this little tree stack guy. I really like this one. I think this one might be a nice one to just throw over here. Like this. So I'm going to go for a darker color again. And we put that there. Like that maybe. You know, maybe it overlaps the others. Not the squirrel's face though. We don't want to do that. Maybe that's over here. Could also be a foreground element. Just cutting off that corner there. That's kind of nice. I like that. Let's stick with that for now. Once again, I can go ahead and, sorry, I just bumped the mic with my hat. I can lock that layer transparency, or I can use a clipping mask, and I can do some snow there. So, you know, just knock in some snow like that. So that's kind of nice. Now for these trees, I always add a trunk, and for this I can use these pencils, right? So here's my rough pencil, and I can just go ahead and select either this green or whatever else, and I can do a nice dark kind of grayish color for that, and add my little trunks like that. That's kind of a nice way to do that. I'll throw that behind and see if that looks better. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Come here, you. Throwing it behind the shape might be a better way to go. I can do a bigger one up here, like this. Use white even and draw through for contrast. That'd be kind of cool. See what I mean? We haven't yet figured out the branch that our friend, the little squirrel, is living on. But before I do that, I want to show you this idea I had about how to handle some of this foreground. And I wanted to use these branch up brushes and branch bunch brushes here. Show you how those work. So my idea was I was going to have a elliptical marquee selection, which I'll do now. And I can throw that one down here in the corner. And then I'm going to change it up, and we're going to grab some color from our bear here and brighten that just a hair. And here's my idea. Throw that color in there, and I'm going to make it multiply. Okay, so probably want to make it a little lighter, a little, let's see, less saturated. Do I want to push it more towards red? No, I'm pushing it definitely more towards yellow. That's kind of where I want to be. This is what I do, folks. I just play and I play and I play until I get what I want. A little lighter there. And on the top of that, I thought it'd be cool to use these branch up and branch bunch brushes. And the way they're designed right now is they all face upwards. Okay, so like this is what happens when I paint with them, right? But instead what I want to do is I want to actually have them change with the rotation of my hand so that the angle of the brush changes. So I'm going to go to brush settings, and under shape dynamics I'm going to control angle jitter with pen tilt. And now I can control that with my pen, okay? So I'm also gonna rotate my brush a little bit. This way I'm a left-handed person. This makes it easier for me to rotate all the way around. And then, here's my idea. I was either gonna use like a white or something to punch out some branches like this inside those shapes and then just erase away what doesn't fit. So I like that kind of wintry branches kind of poking up through, you know what I mean? And maybe I want to actually get a bit crazier with the saturation of these. They could even be, let's try our different blend modes. I was going to say maybe overlay might work. Nah, I'll stick with multiply for now. Or I could do screen actually. I don't know. This is where I really have trouble is making decisions at this point. Where how do I want to play with blend modes? Ooh, I like that. I like that hard light. Yeah, let's stick with hard light, and we'll go a little brighter and a little redder, like that. Where do we want to go? Yellow. That's cool too. Ah, so many fun things to do. All right. So while I've got that layer, I'm going to add another little circle there like this, a little smaller one, and just kind of pop it over maybe like here or something. Kind of want to overlap that a little bit. Let's see what happens if I do that. There we go. And then I'm going to come back to that same brush we're using. And I can just throw in some little branches right there. See what I mean? This is like adding fun little details that just kind of change the whole vibe. And we're just kind of layering until we get where we want to get. I really want to add a trunk to this guy. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to do that. Go back to my pencil brush. I can use the variant this time. Well, I'll use the rough, doesn't matter. Go a little darker. And that makes me want to do this. Gotta darken that up so I can see it by the river there. So you can see it coming together. Things are starting to work. Now we have our background to deal with. We haven't even messed with that yet. There are some more trees I want to play with in the foreground and some more little shapes and whatnot. Another thing you can do is these little winter sticks brushes down here. So fun. You can just take them and you can grab some color and just do some, oops, let me add a new layer here. 1 second. Come back to my background. And you notice, by the way, I haven't like labeled any of my layers. Really bad habits, guys. But I can just throw these little sticks here and there, you know? It's a fun thing to do. Do the same thing to add detail to some of these areas here where you're doing these little round shapes and all that. Right behind here, I kind of want to add yet another one of those. So I might just do that now. I feel like it'd be a nice thing to have kind of poking out there. Even something like this, I don't know. Not sure how high up I want to go with it. You know, multiply. Something just makes me want to throw in a shape there that works with the other one. Maybe I want to throw it in down there. I know you've probably heard me say this a billion times, but I love that quote from Christoph Niemann, who said that digital art takes the traditional art process and makes it endlessly reversible and infinitely flexible, which is a good thing and a bad thing. You can see how it can be bad, where you just become indecisive because it's so fun to play and make decisions. But at the same time, I can't complain because I can constantly be riffing and playing with stuff, figuring things out, you know? So that's lovely. All right, so for now, I'll just go ahead and use my winter sticks, and I'm gonna go dark this time. So grab some squirrel color there and just throw in some, actually I'm gonna change the brush settings here, make it so that there are no shape dynamics in play other than angle control with pen tilt. So I can actually control those myself and make them a little bigger. So I can do this, I can just tap those in like that. And I like being able to do those branches. I like that. Maybe even want to put some more coming through there, I don't know. Just have some random branches poking out here and there. Let's deal with this background really fast. So we're gonna be tucked behind the hill. Okay, so here's our hill. So I go all the way back to my sky and I just make a layer above that. And this is where I can use one of these tree brushes that really does a nice job of kind of packing together tightly. An example of this is Tree Stack 10, where if I just do this, you can see how I can throw in some little trees like that. And if you want more definition, you can make the brush a little smaller and go up and down. See this? That's just going to throw in those little trees back there. All right, you probably want to push that a little bit more towards blue for atmospheric perspective and go a little lighter than what I'm doing. But I can always do those things later after I paint in my shapes. And I can add some variety to those by throwing in other little trees. So I could grab like tree stack number 8 and just come up there like that here and there. Boop. Have those little things poking up through the background there. A few of those. Right? It's a nice thing to do. Maybe even do a big one like that here and there. Could grab our tree stack 11. This brush is quite interesting, and I wanted to use it sort of as part of where the squirrel is sitting. So let's see how that feels. Gotta take this layer and pop it up here behind the squirrel. See? So that shape I thought lent itself well to him sitting on something. So what I can do is take it like that, and then I could continue that stem or trunk using just a lasso tool, you know? I could just do this, have it just come on down. And of course I gotta get a little bit more particular with all that, but I can figure that out in a second. See? And then for the squirrel, I can have him sitting where's his eye? Let's see. Maybe sit like this, sit right here. Play with the contrast on this. So we come back to that tree and we can add our snow. Add a little clipping layer, clipping mask there, and throw in our snow just underneath him there so there's enough contrast. And out here on the side. Don't want any snow by those clouds. That's going to be like overkill, and then I'm going to have white on white, and that's not what I really want. Okay. And let's go ahead and select this orange color. And behind the squirrel, give him that little acorn or whatever he's got. Can even use this brush to just create kind of like a little pattern there. Whoops. And it lock my layer transparency. Like that. All right, pausing for questions. Is that a bear cub? No, it's a bear that's a little further in the distance than our squirrel, because our squirrel is in the foreground. But maybe it's a cub, I don't know. You've been using the dry media brushes and completed several huge projects for UNICEF. That's awesome, ICSD. Glad to hear it. Cool, cool, cool. Thank you so much. All right, so there you go. That's where we are right now. Quickly, what do we want to do? We want to add some more fun stuff. So let's grab the Tree Stack 05 and let's go for a color that is bluish and light. And we're gonna come up here near the top and just gonna throw in a little tree right here like that. That's what I want to do. Not right on top of the fox, but just over there like that. And we'll slide that on up like this. And I just really like this brush. I can't stop playing with I like this shape. I like the triangle. I know it's just so simple. It's a triangle, right? But it's so fun for me to use it all the time. All the time. So I want to just throw something down there maybe. Or maybe coming up that way, you know, I don't know, maybe back here. Oh, I know. Let's throw something back there. That's where it should be. We're gonna go darker and we're just gonna do this. Actually, let's go even darker, like that. That's what I want. Okay. Quick, grab the pencil, add a little trunk right there. Okay, so we've got some trunks for those. And let's go ahead and hide that for a minute and see where I was. Okay, cool. Throw a little trunk there through that. Why not? And for this other one, I just want to play with the snow shapes on there, so I'm going to do that. Like this. Okay, try and make some interesting shapes there. Come on back to this other one here. And we'll lock our transparency. I'm not doing clipping mask right now. I'm just being as fast as humanly possible. So bear with me. All right, here's where we are so far. Now, what do we need to do? Everything's getting a little heavy down towards the bottom. So if you want to lighten it up, you can add some stuff up at the top. So one thing I wanted to do is throw some mountains in there. I'm gonna grab my blue and go a little lighter than that. And come up on top of our sky layer. And we can do a couple things. We can either just draw the mountains with our mountain brushes that are in here. So like I've got these mountain groups here. You know, and I can just do this. Draw in some mountains. Okay. And that's kind of a cool graphic way to do it. You can lock your layer transparency and see how those look. All right. You could do single mountains if you want. So you have these like singles. Some of them are wider. Like this is a wide one right here. Just do like that. Plop that in there. Let's go a little lighter than that. And throw a mountain in like that. Throw another one right there. Right? See what I mean? Easy peasy. Throw some mountains in there. The other thing you do is actually have some color behind them, so I could just follow along with the shapes that I just gave these. So I'm just following their silhouette. Knock that in. Go behind it. Just fill it with white. Okay, and you're pretty solid right there. And finally, throw some snowflakes in. Okay, let's do it fast. Snowflake mix. Flaky mix. Ready? Add a layer, and we just throw those in there. Bam, bam, bam. Ta-da! That's everything we got done today. Awesome. Thank you for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Check out these winter brushes. They're so fun to play with, and I hope you enjoy them as well. And hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions, at Kyle T. Webster. Watch the replay if you need to. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Remember to be kind, and I will say ciao for now.